This is the difference between New York and LA. I had an advertising gig out in LA. So we go back to our old bar and it was like, it was like pre-pro day or whatever. So I'd wrapped up early. It was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We went back to our old bar in Sherman Oaks. We're sitting there. It's like one of those square bars, where it's like the bartenders are in the middle, the restaurants like all around. And he and I are sitting over here and there's another guy sitting at the other side. And my roommate was a narrative guy, right? He's an actor, screenwriter, producer. So he's like, dude, you're doing branded documentaries? Like, dude, tell me about documentaries. Like, what's going on? So we're having this really cool craft conversation and we're having this like really cool dynamic between the two of us that hadn't existed before. I watched this guy who's sitting on the other side start to creep his way over. He gets over to us and he's sitting next to my buddy and we're like looking at him like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, whatever, it's a bar, fine. Yeah. And he goes, hey, I don't want to interrupt, but hey, here's my card. I'm an AC. If you ever need anything, just like, I'm here. And he's like pushing it. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I'm having a conversation with my friend. Yeah. Like get out, like leave me your card. Like by all means network but like don't be gross and weird about it. Like inject yourself into our conversation. Whereas when I moved to New York and I would meet my wife's friends, she worked in education at the time. She had doctor friends, she had nurse friends, she had finance friends, she has different people. Like we'd be out meeting new people and having a good time. They're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm in production. I work in, making films and advertising and stuff. Like, oh, that's cool. And then somebody else would be like, I'm a teacher. Here's the thing I was dealing with this. And they would be more interested in the teacher's story or the finance guy's story or the lawyer's story, because in New York, it's a very well-rounded community of people who are doing a bunch of different. Whereas in LA, everybody's on the one track and it's just so focused. And again, I'm not saying don't network. I'm not saying don't introduce yourself. I'm not saying, but just don't be weird about it. And that's the difference between New York and LA. And I think that's the difference between like people who work at this for a living and people who are trying to, and it's just, it's tough.